Complete Chess Strategy, Part 7, Your Thought Process, Tactics, by Chess Diagnostic. Alright, hello and welcome to Part 7 of the Complete Chess Strategy course, where we analyze the thought process and how to use it in a practical game or game position. So I'm going to divide these up into two videos, and the first one is going through a tactical puzzle, and the second one will go through a complete game. So we're going to start with this tactical puzzle here, and we'll break it down and we'll go through the 4 steps, and we'll see how we can use that to find the best move. Okay, so if we start from step 1, we'll see, we're white here, we'll see that black is threatening both the king as well as the bishop here. And that's step 1. We want to ask ourselves what black's threatening in the position, what his plan is, and what he plans to do next on the next move. Not just a single threat, but all threats, as well as his overall plan. And this will help you get an understanding of the overall position, because you need to think equally about what your opponent can do, because they have an equal say in the game overall. Alright, so we can see that black's threatening the king, we're in check. We have to do something about it. And there's pretty much only 2 ways to get out of check. Either you trade the piece or you interpose. So we can see here that we can interpose with the bishop, the queen, or we could simply move the king. So part 2 of the thought process is looking at our move and our plan. So we want to understand how we can move our pieces forward and attack the opponent's position. Now, just because you're attacked doesn't mean that you should not start a counterattack. You definitely should. That's the best way to defend. And we can also see that we can bring this pawn up here and block both the queen, and if the queen takes the bishop, then we have this check here winning the queen. So we could bring the bishop back, but we know from our general understanding that we don't want to move a piece back because it reduces our activity. Now, we could bring the queen forward, but that's not the best position or the best idea, because then black can simply take it, and if we take with the king, that there's really no advantage. We want to figure out the most strongest continuation. So if we move to step 3, we want to look at all the candidates that we found. So here, we'll start from the original position. So we want to look at, starting from the king, what the king can do. The king can move here and here. But if we do that, then that allows check. So either move the king results in check. So we don't want to do that. So we can discount this move based on our calculation. Now, we've already analyzed if the queen moves, that the black queen can simply trade, and if the bishop or the king takes, then it's equal. So at least we know a move that's equal. Doesn't lose anything. If the bishop comes back, we know that black can take the bishop and then we'll win the queen, but what are some other moves that black can do? If we bring the bishop back, then black can simply move the queen back. So that's another equal evaluation. Now, there's really no moves for the rooks because we're in check, so the only other move we need to look at is this pawn move. So we see that if we move the pawn, the queen has some possible moves. The queen can move back, the queen can take the bishop, or the queen can move here. So let's say if the queen takes the bishop, then we know we can move the knight here, forking both the king and the queen. We win the queen. Okay, so that's a good move. If the queen moves here, then we still have a fork, and we win a rook. But now we can see black has that check. But at least we know if he takes the bishop, that we can either interpose with our queen and we'll be up in exchange. So that's definitely an advantage. In addition, if black moves here, there's another line where we can simply take, and this wins as well. Alright, so we know that queen to a3 works. Now what if the queen moves back? We can't check here because the queen could simply take. We don't just want to take the knight, because then the knight would just take back. But we also have this bishop here that can take. And because this bishop is pinning the knight, it can't take back, so we just want a piece. So the overall evaluation stemming from this check is that b4 is winning. But of course, we have to do a blunder check. So we'll visualize this move, and we'll ask ourselves what forcing replies black can take. So moving there is not a forcing reply. Pretty much the only forcing reply that black has is to take the bishop, and we know that loses. So from our blunder check, we can confirm that b4 is the strongest move. So at that point, you go ahead and play b4, and using the 4-step thought process, we just came up with the correct move, and we did it without any wasted time or any thought loops that might result from solving a tactical position. So hopefully this was educational, because you can see that when you're solving a tactical puzzle, you don't just start randomly calculating moves, which a lot of players do. They'll say, oh, I don't know what to do, maybe I'll go here, maybe I'll go here. And eventually they'll figure out the correct solution, or they'll figure out a solution and just play it and find that it was wrong. But that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to work on the process that allows you to always find the right move.